You want to know the truth? The truth is, I did not want to do the chapter of this book. This next chapter, this is chapter 4, usage. And you guys, oh my gosh. No, my heart just got broken because, dude, I was falling in love with the book, chapter 1. Falling in love with the book, chapter 2. Falling in love with the book, chapter 3. Then chapter 4 comes along, dude. Chapter 4, oh my gosh, dude. Chapter 4 is where it starts getting dense and it starts not getting fun anymore, which is like, it's why the legal profession is kind of frustrating and difficult to learn, is as soon as you get into the dense stuff, dude, it's like, some of the dense stuff is just so, oh my gosh, it makes your head want to explode. It's so frustrating, okay? And I had to complain to somebody. Because just, you guys, here's the thing. I was about to do a disingenuous video to you guys. I was about to put on an old smiley face and be like, here's chapter 4, everybody, blah, 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 blah. But here's the thing, dude, I didn't want to be disingenuous to you guys, okay? I didn't want to be disingenuous. And it's got to be honest in terms of this book and this review, okay? Just, because here's the thing. The next chapters might get more and more and more dense, okay? And I wish they didn't, I wish they wouldn't, but it might just be the case, all right? So we're just gonna have to see. Anyways, this is chapter 4, okay? Usage. This chapter talks about words and different words that you have to use. Okay, so going onwards. This chapter contains words that are often misused in legal writing. Accrue, comma, incur. That's the thing. You're going to see accrue, comma, incur on the headers. Accrue, comma, incur. I'm using a comma to separate the two words. I'm going to say the word comma for the sake of you guys. Oh my gosh, I'm going to muscle through this. I'm sorry. Well, dude, y'all are getting the truth, okay? That's what I'm not sorry about. Y'all are getting the truth. Anyways, accrue, comma, incur. Accrue generally has a positive connotation. Money in the bank accrues interest. Incur generally has a negative connotation. You incur liabilities, expenses, or losses. Admission, comma, admittance. Under the federal rules of evidence and admission is any statement by a party where it helps or hurts. Admittance relates only to entering. Effect, comma, effect. These two words are frequently confused. Affect, with an A, is most commonly used as a verb meaning to influence. Affect, with an E, is most commonly used as a noun meaning result or the condition of being in force. Allude, comma, refer. To allude to something is to refer to it indirectly without naming it. And, comma, ampersand. Use the word and not the symbol ampersand unless the symbol ampersand is part of the name of a business or professional organization. And slash or. Avoid this construction. Purists don't like it. It's ugly and it's ambiguous. Oh my gosh, you know what? That's something I learned because I do the and or. I do the and slash or. And it's saying it's ambiguous. If you're paranoid about being misunderstood, you can use the construction A or B or both, which is used in most statutes concerning the punishment for a crime. A or B or both, not and slash or B or whatever you call it. Next, apply. You apply rules to facts, not the other way around. Arguable, comma, arguably. When these words are used to refer to an issue, they mean it is one on which reasonable people could differ. Thus, an arguable position is not a strong position, but merely a position an advocate could argue with a straight face. Assure, ensure, insure. To assure is to assure with an A is to promise. To ensure or insure with an E or an I is to make sure something happens. Because causation is critical in legal analysis and writing. Because expresses causation most directly and unambiguously. Since is slightly weaker because of its connotation of time. As is a poor substitute. Its meanings of while or when make it easily ambiguous. Car, oh my gosh, the word car, we're actually doing the word car. Car. Police officers, out of a misguided notion that plain English is inappropriate in formal settings or notorious for testifying that they exited the vehicle. If it's a car, call it a car, not an automobile or vehicle. In plain English, people get out of cars, they don't exit them. Clearly. Clearly is often an illegitimate substitute for analysis or argument. The same is true for its one-word equivalents. Certainly, obviously, surely, patently, manifestly, and word-wasting equivalents. Communication. Avoid communication as a vague substitute for the specific form of communication involved. Instead, be specific. Contact. Avoid using the verb contact. Man, I thought he was going to say to use the word contact after he freaking crapped on the word communication. I thought he was going to say the word contact, but that just didn't happen. Oh my gosh, how interesting. You know what, you guys? This chapter ain't as bad as I thought. You know, I thought it was going to be bad, but now that I'm reading it, it's like, oh, okay. You're actually somewhat learning. I know I was complaining a lot in the beginning, but you know, the more you dig into it, the more it's like, oh, okay. I don't know, maybe I was being a little bit of a drama queen in the beginning. Anyways, let's keep going. Contact. Avoid using the verb contact as a vague substitute for a specific verb when you know what happened. Instead, be specific. And then he substitutes the word contact with wrote in a couple of examples. Next, criteria, comma, criterion. Criteria is plural, criterion is singular. Desires, comma, wants. Desires as a verb connotes a deep longing or craving for something like sex or Haagen-Dazs. Don't use it as a verb when all you mean is wants, especially when you're talking about a corporation or other non-human entity. Okay, no, we're learning stuff. Dicta, comma, dictum. Dicta is the plural of dictum, which is the peripheral of point or remark made by a court in a written opinion. Since dicta is a plural noun, it must be followed by a plural verb. Disinterested. Disinterested means impartial, unbiased. It is often mistakenly used to mean uninterested. The disinterested judge listens with an open mind to both sides. The uninterested judge doesn't listen. Facility. Don't call every kind of building a facility. Use a specific noun. Hospital, school, plant, prison, etc. Fired. In plain English, a person is fired from a job. To say the person was terminated sounds like Arnold Schwarzenegger was involved. Discharged is less ominous but fairly military. When you're tracking a rule or statute that talks about the wrongful termination or wrongful discharge, use those terms. First, comma, firstly. To enumerate points, use first, comma, second, etc. Instead of the clumsier firstly, secondly, etc. You don't start with first of all. It makes you sound irritated. Former, comma, latter. Ah, thank goodness, one I actually know. Former, comma, latter. The main problem with this pair is that they don't often make the reader look back to figure out which is which. Don't break the momentum, eliminate them by repeating the nouns or rewriting the sentence. Dude, that's pretty smart because yeah, the whole former, comma, latter thing, like the person has to go back. What was former? What was latter? Where in the paragraph do I jump to? Blah, 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 blah. But former, comma, latter, you just don't use that. You repeat. Dude, you guys, maybe we're going to be okay. Maybe this chapter is not actually that bad. Okay, guilty, comma, innocent, comma, liable. Guilty should be used to refer to those convicted of a crime. Don't use it to refer to those found liable in a civil case. In criminal law, the opposite of guilty is not innocent, but rather not guilty. Good stuff. Imply, comma, infer. To imply is to express indirectly to hint. To infer is to conclude from evidence to deduce. The words are not interchangeable. The speaker or writer implies, the listener or reader infers. Dude, that one's kind of hard. So imply, dude, imply is to express indirectly. So when you're implying something, you're kind of, you're hinting at it, I'm implying it. But to infer, but then to infer is to say, oh, I got it. Like I received it. I received your implication. What's there, dude? There's some, I'm not even gonna remember this, but if there's some clip that's like the implication, I think it was in Always Sunny in Philadelphia.
Never say no because of the implication.
Like the implication.
What implication?
The implication. Dude, if I find that clip, we are putting the implication clip.
It was an implication, right?
That was definitely the implication.
Into this. Anyways, That was such a Always Sunny in Philadelphia. Such a funny episode. Anyways, in question, this stilted phrase is often unclear or redundant. For example, if you've been talking about different contracts, the contract in question is less clear than the 1991 contract, the employment contract, the MCA contract, or whatever. So don't use the contract in question. Rather, specifically identify what contract you're talking about. In terms of, no phrase is more abused by educated speakers and writers than this vague, wordy, compound preposition. Misuse starts innocently enough. You try using in terms of one night for just kicks, perhaps at a party with a few friends. Pretty soon you're using it at school or work. Before you know it, you're hooked. So do not use in terms of. Next, may, might. May and might cover events that could happen from the present on. The car may or might explode. Monies. Avoid this archaic word. Money will always work in its place. Moot. Ooh, I like the word moot. We're going to see. Dude, we're going to see if he likes the word moot. Moot. In ordinary context, a moot question is one that is debatable or open to doubt. In legal context, a moot question is one that no longer has any legal significance. The court's decision that the defendant was not liable rendered the damages issue moot. This meaning is reflected in moot court, which is where law students argue hypothetical cases. I hope you got that. I mean, I got it, but like moot. So moot, dude, oh my gosh, don't worry. Dude, we got 5 more pages. We're almost getting through this. Motion, move. A litigant moves or makes a motion for something like a summary judgment. A litigant does not motion for summary judgment. Motion is only used as a noun in this context, nor does a litigant move the court for summary judgment. Court can't be the direct object of move. If you want to get to court into the sentence, you must say something like, moved that the court grant summary judgment. You guys, I didn't get that at all. Luckily, I'm not going to be arguing in the court of law, but whew, we're just going to keep going. Of course can sound condescending, especially when you're talking about technical matters. Interesting. Don't use of course. Prove, show. Facts are proved. Legal conclusions aren't proved. They are shown. Has proved is preferred over has proven. The state has proved, not proven, Sykes was at the scene of the murder. Purchase, sale. A sale transaction be looked at 2 ways. From the seller's point of view, it's a sale. From the buyer's point of view, it's a purchase. That one, whew, okay. Sometimes these are reasonable in terms of they don't make you, they just don't make you freak out. Represents. Don't use represents when you mean is. A senator represents a state in Congress. A flag represents a country, but there's no relationship of representation in the following example. Hill represents the first case in which the court recognized a cause of the action for wrongful life. It should be Hill is the first case in which the court recognized a cause of action for wrongful life. You guys, don't worry, we've got like, I think 3 more pages. We're going to get through this. Respective, respectively. These are either confusing or unnecessary. Sweet, don't use them. Said. Parties and witnesses say a lot of things. The simplest way to refer to what someone said is to say he or she said it. A more formal substitute for said is stated. Okay? We're going to keep going. Dude, don't use the words interchangeably. Okay, each word listed has its own particular meaning and connotations. Don't use these words interchangeably. I'm just going to run through these words, but the words are admitted, advised, alleged, asserted, claimed, contended, disclosed, indicated, informed, represented, revealed, stipulated, and testified. Dude, you've got to, he lists out the definitions, but oh my gosh. We are not going through the definitions of each of those words. No way, Jose. No way, Jose. Anyways, there's a bunch of words for said, okay? That's the main point. That's the main gist. You got the words. Moving on. That is often used as a needless word. Omit it when the sentence would be just as clear without it. Interesting. I kind of like that. Anyways, the fact that The most books on writing recommend avoiding this phrase because it's wordy. There's another reason to avoid it in legal writing. What is a fact is often hotly contested, so using the fact that raises a distracting battle flag in a sentence where you aren't making any assertions about the facts. Don't use the phrase. Next, true facts. True facts is generally considered a redundancy, blah, blah, blah. Don't use the redundancy. Whether with a W. Whether seems to attract needless words. In the phrase whether or not, you can usually omit the not. Widget. All through my first year contract class, I wondered what a widget was. They were bought and sold in every hypothetical. Not being mechanically inclined, blah, 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 blah. It's a thingamajig, a whatchamacallit. Am I the only one who didn't know that? I'm guessing he doesn't want to use the word widget. I'm like, that's, just call it what it is. With respect to, avoid this vague, wordy phrase. Look at that, with respect to. You guys, we're almost done. And that's actually the end of the chapter. Ah, thank goodness, we got through it. Oh my gosh, we got through it. We got through it. We got through it. And we just, dude, you guys, I'm just gonna leave it at that. We're done. Thank you. If you're an independent and you care about being represented, even more so if you're frustrated and you feel like you're not represented, the whole point of this project, the whole point of this content is to help independents feel like they've got a voice, feel like they've got somebody fighting for them. And so that's what this content's about. If you're interested in supporting this, go to the patreon.com/MiyakeZilla Patreon page and consider supporting us for $2 a month. That's all. All right, thank you very much. Bye.